So I broke the law and the police intend to prosecute. It's not a joke. I wish that it was, but recently this landed on my doorstep. It is a legitimate notice of intended prosecution from my local police department outlining the details of an alleged offence and a request, or should I say a demand, for me to provide information pertinent to their case that they want to receive by a certain date, after which they will decide how they want to proceed against me. In a moment I'll give you the details of the alleged offence, but in the meantime I just want to let you know that I am absolutely, unequivocally and 100% guilty. I did it, and I'm going to have to face the consequences of my actions. I remember when the letter came through the door, I went through so many different emotions. There was like disbelief. I was like, I cannot believe that what I'm looking at. There was denial. It's like, no, that's not real. Didn't happen. They never caught me. It was like the unfairness of it. It's like, that's not fair. I'm not a criminal. I shouldn't get that. And I was so careful anyway. They shouldn't have been able to catch me. And then the rationalization kicked in, didn't it? And so many more people out there who are worse than me. Why aren't the police kind of dealing with those guys? But it was reality check time, where I had to kind of concede that, you know what, I'm not special. There are laws out there, they apply to everybody, and at the end of the day, if you can't do the crime, don't do the time. No, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. I was caught in the act. I stand guilty, and I am completely without excuse. My stomach dropped. I just felt complete guilt and shame, and I felt absolutely just sick. Felt awful. And then I started thinking about another way that I'm actually guilty as well, another law that I have broken, and that is God's perfect moral law. I love watching Ray Comfort's street evangelism. I think the dude is an absolute legend, and he's just got so much guts to be walking up to people in the streets and he's like, hey.
How many lies have you told in your life?
Many lies.
And they're like, yeah, what do you call somebody who tells lies, You're a liar,
Have you ever stolen something?
No.
It's not one of those many lies, is it?
Yeah.
You're a lying thief.
Have you ever looked at a woman with lust?
Yes, I have.
God said if you look at somebody with lust in your heart, then you've committed adultery. You are like a lying, thieving adulterer at heart.
And you have to face God on Judgment Day. If He judges you by the 10 Commandments, you're going to be innocent or guilty.
Hard to say.
It's not. It's easy. Lying, thieving, blasphemous, adulterer at heart, you'd be guilty like the rest of us.
It's funny really, isn't it? Because our habits as human beings is to judge our own behaviour against the standard of other people, and that's not the standard that ultimately we're going to be judged against, is it? God's standard is perfection in thought, word and deed. Hebrews 9 verse 27 says that it's appointed for every man to die, and then comes judgment. We also read in the book of Romans that all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, and also that the wages of sin is death. Under God's justice system, the penalty for sin is much greater than what we could dole out on earth, which would be like, a fine or community service or maybe some time in jail. We're talking about eternal separation from God. Unlike anything that I might have coming under our earthly justice system, I cannot hope to pay the debt that I owe to God. The price is just too high. Each sin deserves death, and I sin a lot. As of today, I am 16,691 days old. If, for example, I only sinned 5 times every single day, and spoiler alert, I think that actually might be on the low side of the estimate, I've totaled up 83,455 death sentences. And it doesn't look like tomorrow is going to be very much better. Despite my best efforts, I'm going to pile more sin onto the ledger tomorrow as well. Good deeds don't cancel out bad ones, and even if they did, it would be impossible for me to pile on enough good deeds on the one side of the scales to counterbalance all of the bad ones going on the other. Think about every bad word that I said, every short-tempered response to like my wife or my kids, or the times when I've been less than truthful in business dealings, times when I have not been generous, not been charitable. It's just constant barrage of sin in our our lives. And then there's the gospel solution, isn't there, into this situation where, you know, we are we're just completely without hope. We are sitting here looking down the barrel of like a massive slate of crimes of which we are all completely guilty and without excuse and no way of paying for it. You know, God decides in his ultimate wisdom to like send his son Jesus to come to earth to live the perfect moral life, not to sin once, and then to go to the cross to pay the debt of the sins for you, for me, for absolutely everybody who would bend the knee and follow him. When Jesus received the sour wine, he said, "It is finished," and he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. That word tetelestai that he said, you know, "it is finished," it's kind of got a little bit of a double meaning. It's like, you know, it is finished. He's finished his earthly ministry, but it's also, it is finished. He has completed and fulfilled the scriptures. And in this way, God can be perfectly just, because all of the sin that has been committed has not just been hand waved away, it has been paid for, but he can also be perfectly merciful, and, you know, he can offer that salvation to us, and that is such good news. That is so good. So what was the crime that I am currently about to face earthly justice for? Yes, it was a speeding ticket. I got caught doing 38 miles an hour in a 30 zone. I have my excuses in so much as I genuinely thought it was a 40 mile an hour zone and I was driving with my cruise control on. Unfortunately, there was roadworks, and, you know, at the end of the day, I wasn't paying sufficient attention. It was entirely my fault. But fortunately, I have to say that the police offer speed awareness courses to first-time offenders like my good self, and that's pretty cool actually. I'm looking forward to going on it. They teach you about rules of the road that maybe I haven't seen in like about 20 years time, and they're also going to give me tips and tricks to make sure that I don't get caught again. So yeah, I'm not making light of speeding. I don't think it's clever or funny or anything like that, but you know what, I'm so glad that this penalty is within my ability to pay. I'm so glad that it isn't like an eternal consequence, and I'm also so glad that Jesus was there to pay that one debt that I absolutely couldn't pay to God. Anyway, if you've had a good time here today, I'd love it if you'd leave me a comment and just like say hello. Get chatting to you down there, that'd be brilliant, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care.